Howdy y'all, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about California, and we're going to first talk about Califia, and she was the Amazonian warrior goddess who ruled California, which was considered to be an island. She basically, as the narrative goes, her story says she joined forces with the Muslims to fight against the Christians in Constantinople, only to be defeated, where she was converted to Christianity, and she returned back to the island of California, only to watch the island prosper and grow under her rule.
In modern times, obviously, we're aware that California is no longer labeled to be an island. However, if you look into the buildings that began to develop in the late 1800s and the early 1900s, you will be surprised to see many castle-like and old world structures that are residing all throughout the massive state. Today, we're going to look at a few photographs of these buildings that are labeled and range from personal domains to almshouses and insane asylums, all the way up to post offices and state government buildings. However, you'll notice the architecture between these buildings is all very similar, and all seems to lend itself to an old world or advanced type of architecture being used in California at this time.
You'll find many asylums like this one that are built in the quote-unquote Kirkbride Plan that I've talked about in previous videos that calls for this massive symmetrical design. You'll see a lot of buildings like this that have raised entrances that are off of the ground. You'll find massive arches, columns, and things of that nature, as well as different colored brick or buildings like this where you could argue that the bottom of the building was dug out. You'll find buildings that appear overgrown, and yet they are only a few decades old, if that. You'll find structures like this where windows and doors lead into the ground. You'll find different structures where the entrances and just the different designs of the building do not really lend themselves to the idea that these are hospitals or built for mental health. You'll find a lot of these are built on fully flat land, which means either there was a company that flattened this land, and yet you'll see grass and the such in a lot of these photographs. And you'll see new plants. So it lends itself to the idea that someone or something really laid flat this entire land and built these structures on top of it, and yet these structures are still jutting out of the ground as if they were built to be prepared for the land to rise, or they were dug out of the ground and the levels just weren't correct when we dug them out. So we had to create extracurricular entrances and windows and doorways and the such to fit these buildings, to make them fit the humanity that we were going to put inside of them. You have to wonder exactly why they were constructed that way, and that's one of the questions I posed.
think the idea that the architectural advancements in California didn't begin until after the gold rush is a little bit misleading. I'd like to believe that some of these buildings, some of the infrastructure, and even the layout of some of these cities was developed before the gold rush, and some of these more secluded buildings and residences can be attributed to a past society or past civilizations that prospered in this area. I just want to say thank you.
And I want to be part of this community with you. So keep sharing your ideas with me, and I'll keep trying to do the research I can. And together we'll keep growing and finding the answers. And at the very least, we'll keep each other entertained. So thank you. I just wanted to chime in with this building. This is one of the examples I'm talking about where take away the staircase there and just look at this entrance And imagine if those archways were just 3 archways without the stairs there. That's how these buildings were built, with 20, 30-foot archways. And it appears that we went in and we reconstructed these floor plans and these buildings, the entrances and the doorways, and we made these buildings fit for a humanity that was our size.